Hello everyone, FPL Raptor here and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. In today's video we have my updated draft and I have made 3 or 4 changes since my previous one and I wanted to share it with you guys before the weekend. If you're enjoying the content here on this channel, please do remember to like, comment and subscribe. But without further ado, let's jump into it. So guys, wasting absolutely no time at all today, jumping straight into my latest draft. And as you can see, the latest draft is a 4-4-2, whereas my previous drafts have all been 3-5-2s. I do tend to find 4-4-2 as a more flexible formation in most seasons than a 3-5-2. In fact, last year, I started with a 4-4-2 with a pretty similar defense with respect to how much money was invested in it. Of course, Trent was an 8, but I had a very, very decent defense with the likes of James and Cancelo. I had a very good midfield with generally pretty decent options, then 1 cheaper option, and then 2 pretty good forwards to start the season, which I'm almost certain was Haaland and Jesus last season. So I'm almost replicating my Game Week 1 team with respect to structure. The reason that I've been more in a 3-5-2 this year, though, to start, is I feel like there are so many good midfielders this year, all at very similar price points. And I feel like this draft, whilst I absolutely love it, and it is the one that I'm currently on, it does leave you a little bit inflexible in the midfield, which when we discuss the midfield, I'll discuss the pros and cons of that. But yes, it is a 4-4-2. Let me know down below in the comments, what is your current formation for your current team ahead of Game Week 1? I think most people will be in a 3-5-2 or a 4-4-2, but I would love to know down below in the comments, and I'll see what seems to be the most popular formation. As you can see at the top of the team, my team is predicted to get 69.5 points in Game Week 1, and it is currently at 97% team rating. If you would like to get your team rated for free, you can click the first link in the description. By Fantasy Football Hub, the AI will rate your team for free. You don't have to pay, you don't have to sign up, you can just get your team rated for free. However, if you also want to get the premium benefits after that, they are offering 50% off at the moment if you click through my link. So it supports me, supports the channel, but you can also get your team rated for free and then potentially sign up too. So starting in goal, as you can see, there has been a goalkeeper change, and I currently have Johnston in goal. Now, I've sort of been going back and forth on this. Number one, do I want a £4.5 million goalkeeper or a £5 million goalkeeper? And then also the personnel. So I think for the 4.5s, I think Johnston is my favourite at the moment. We'll discuss him in a second. I like Flecken from Brentford if Raya leaves. I think he'll be first choice. Brentford are a very, very solid defence. And I still don't mind Pickford as an option. The reason I think Johnston at 4.5 could be good is last season, Crystal Palace were actually 4th for expected goals conceded. They were, by all accounts, a very, very good defence. They were potentially unlucky not to keep more clean sheets. The issue that we've got with Crystal Palace is we don't know how they'll line up for the new season. They could be losing some players. They don't seem to be signing many players either. And we also don't know whether it will be Johnston or Gaeta that starts the season. So with all of these things up in the air, maybe it's not the best bet to start the season with Palace, especially because the fixtures are a bit of a mixed bag. But I'm just not overwhelmed by any of the options at 4.5, which moves us on to the £5 million keepers. And I think they are better options. I think Ramsdale is excellent. I love Emi Martinez, who has been in a couple of my drafts recently. And I also like Onana if you don't have Luke Shaw. I'm not sure I would double up on Manchester United defence because I feel like we've got some good attackers to choose from. But if you don't have Luke Shaw, I really like Onana. But for now, just in this current team, I've got £4.5 million Johnston. Let me know down below which keeper you are currently rocking. The back four, in my opinion, is absolutely sublime. I think this is the best back four you can build in FPL. If you gave me unlimited money, I'm pretty sure this would still be the back four that I would have. I do currently have Trent in this draft. I'll be honest, just before I was recording this video, I've been tinkering to try and come up with what is my latest draft. And I've been going back and forth on Trent. If I drop Trent, it allows me to go to a 5-man midfield and have someone like a Martinelli or a Maddison or a Foden in there, even a Brian Mbeumo who's not currently in my draft. So there are so many good midfield options at the same price or even cheaper than Trent. And it allows me to switch to a 3-5-2 and have another midfield spot that I can switch around for game weeks 2 and 3. Also, if you drop Trent, you can squeeze Salah into your team, and it actually doesn't look too bad. So I've already been going back and forth on it. I just feel like starting with the most expensive defender in Trent leaves you very flexible. And if I don't like Trent and it looks like Liverpool are really shaky at the back still and they're not performing and maybe Trent's not getting the attacking returns, it is so easy in Game Week 3 when Spurs and Chelsea have their fixture swings to do Trent to someone like a Pedro Porro, a Reece James, a Chilwell, and all of a sudden you've got money in the bank and you've got a great attacking wing-back / fullback ahead of a really nice set of fixtures. So I feel like starting with Trent is the most flexible way and then deciding after that, because if I don't start with Trent, let's say I had Pedro Porro in that spot, who I really do like as an option, then it's going to be very difficult to get to Trent unless you just leave that money in the bank. So for now, Trent's in the team. I do have Luke Shaw in my latest draft. I didn't have him in the most recent one that I showed you guys. he just feels like too good value. He's on a lot of set pieces, a lot of free kicks, a lot of in-swinging corners too, Luke Shaw. He's absolutely exceptional for bonus points, specifically when he plays at centre-back, actually, but also when he plays at left-back. And Manchester United were actually very good defensively last season. A lot of what looks like Manchester United defending poorly was actually in about 3 or 4 games. We just absolutely capitulated. I'm looking specifically at the Liverpool game. I'm a Manchester United fan. That was absolute hell. But there were just a few games where we absolutely fell apart. But outside of that, we were very, very good defensively. Manchester United kept the most clean sheets in the league. I mean, David De Gea won the Golden Glove despite doing very, very little in goal. So I think we are a very solid defence, and I want at least one. It's just going to be up to me. Do I have Luke Shaw or do I have Onana? But for now, I think Luke Shaw's got the attacking potential and bonus points to just be worth what will probably be 0.5 million on top of Onana. Estepinian and Gabriel are spoken about to death this week, and in all of the drafts, most people have them. Brighton and Arsenal are 2 fantastic defences. Both Estepinian and Gabriel, 2 home fixtures to start the season. Really decent attacking data. Estepinian is creative, decent goal threat, and Gabriel gets on the end of a lot of corners. So I genuinely do think that is the best back 4. And then on the bench, you can see I actually have a £4.5 million defender, which means no £4 million defenders in my team. And I do believe that Rico Henry is the best £4.5 million defender. What I would like you to do, for those of you that don't have many Brentford in your team, ignore game week 1. I know it's against Tottenham at home. That could be an okay fixture, and it is at home. And then look at the fixtures after that, because I think a lot of us are blinded by that first fixture. Doesn't look perfect on paper, but after that, Brentford's fixtures are really, really strong. And you can play Rico Henry most weeks. The other reason I like Rico Henry is Manchester United have a bit of a mixed bag for fixtures over the first 6. Luke Shaw rotates perfectly out with Rico Henry. So if you don't want to play Shaw in the tricky fixtures, which you might want to anyway because he's such a good defender and he's got attacking potential, you can actually switch Rico Henry in for those fixtures. So I really like that rotation there. So that's the back line. I'm exceptionally happy with that. Let's move on to the 4-man midfield. So the midfield has actually changed quite a bit from my most recent draft. 2 of my favourite players in FPL for game week 1 have actually made their way out of the draft, which I will discuss. And 1 new player has made his way in. And of course, I have dropped to a 4-man midfield rather than a 5-man midfield. Just very briefly on the cheap midfielders, as you can see at the moment, I've got Ndombele on the bench. I don't see a massive standout £4.5 million midfielder at the moment. To be honest, I don't really see a £5 million standout either. I think Clive at Bournemouth could be the one, but we'll have to wait and see there. It's one of the reasons that I don't really like a 4-man midfield at the moment, just because there isn't a standout. But I'm hoping over the preseason games, there will be a standout £4.5 million midfielder that we can say, yep, that's the one to go for. They're going to get some decent game time, and it will allow us the opportunity, if we want to start with a 4-man midfield. So the 3 players that have maintained their place in my midfield from my previous draft are Mitoma, Saka, and Fernandes. We'll start with Mitoma. I'm still a little bit unsure on this, but I looked into his data in more detail. It did really look quite good towards the back end of the season. He actually started the season with quite poor data, but he was finishing absolutely everything. And then at the end of the season, his data really improved, and he was just finishing absolutely nothing. So again, I'm hoping Mitoma regresses to the mean, and we start to see a little bit better output from him this season. But I like the first 3 fixtures, and if it doesn't go very well with Mitoma, you've got lots of other options at 6.5, and you've also got some decent options at 6. Once Ramsey's back from injury, he looks good. You've got Gibbs-White at 6. You've got potentially Enciso at 5.5 if he gets enough minutes over those opening game weeks. So I don't mind starting with Mitoma, and if it doesn't work out, I can move off of him. I do think that Mbeumo would be my second choice. If I decide I don't really fancy Mitoma as an option and I don't go for Enciso, it would probably be an Mbeumo that I move for at 6.5. Saka and Fernandes I love because they are absolutely brilliant for expected minutes. You know they're going to start pretty much every game for their team and get close to 90 minutes, and they're both on penalties too, and they are both on some set pieces. I love them. They have so many routes to points. You know they're going to play every week, and you know they are so important to their team moving forward. We have spoken a little bit about Saka this week, and that his data last season wasn't very good. If you are a purely data-driven manager, do not pick Saka. If you are a predominantly data-driven manager, but you also take into account other factors, which is what I would count myself as, then maybe you look at some other stuff and think that this could be a big season for Saka, and that he is still very good just due to his expected minutes. Fernandes, I do think that Rashford's a slightly better option, but I do still want him in my draft, which is why you can see I have added Rashford, which we'll discuss in a second, but I've still maintained Fernandes because I think in and of himself, in his own right, completely ignore whether you have Rashford in your team, Fernandes is an excellent option. His data last season was very strong. Like I said, he's on penalties, on set pieces. I think he is absolutely well and truly worth the £8.5 million price tag. So Bruno, at the moment, stays in my team. The new addition is Marcus Rashford at 9 million. And this is a tricky one because let's say I've already got Fernandes at 8.5. Why would I not just go for a Maddison at 7.5 or an Mbeumo at 6.5 or even a Phil Foden at 7.5, who I've had in a lot of drafts? Why pay the 9 for Rashford? Rashford's data was absolutely brilliant last season. And again, in the last few days, what I've done is just digged into the data in a little bit more detail. I've looked at different samples. I've looked at the way that it trended towards the end of the season. Rashford was just exceptionally strong all season, had really, really high goal threat. Actually, one of the highest in the league for all of the midfielders in FPL. So I feel like Rashford is a goal scorer. I think and hope that he'll continue his form from last season. And I feel like with the opening fixtures, 2 really decent home games in the first 3, I want to own Marcus Rashford. And if it doesn't work out, let's say Rashford doesn't start the season strongly, then I can downgrade. It's a similar situation to what I said with Trent, that I would rather start with the slightly more expensive midfielder and then downgrade. So the 2 players that left my team is Maddison and Foden. I love both of them. I'll start with Maddison. The reason that Maddison's currently not in this team, it's just I don't particularly like the opening 2 fixtures for Spurs. And like I said, if Maddison does pop off, I've got 3-4 players that I can switch out. I can try and find £1 million to upgrade Matoma, or I can downgrade Rashford, Saka, or Fernandes, depending who doesn't look their best going into game week 3. So I've got lots of options to get Maddison if I want to. Foden's the trickier one because there's no good reason to drop Foden for me. It's just because I also want Fernandes, Rashford, Saka, and Matoma, and I don't have a 5th midfield spot at the moment. But I feel like Foden will start the majority of the games at the start of the season. I feel like he has a massive high upside. He's got really decent data, and I think he'll do very, very well for Man City. So I don't like the fact that I've lost Foden from this draft. The other player that I really want in this midfield is Martinelli. And I've tweeted about this. If there was one player, maybe alongside Foden, that I could squeeze into this midfield that I don't currently have, it is Martinelli. The reason I think Martinelli will be good is I think once we get a little bit deeper into the season with Champions League football, Martinelli will be rotated with the likes of Trossard, Smith Rowe, and Nketiah can come in. Different players can play in that position there. Even we might potentially see Havertz pushed a little bit wider at points. So I do think that Martinelli will become a rotation risk, but I don't necessarily think that'll be in the opening 3 or 4 weeks. And that's when Arsenal's fixtures are strong. And then, like I said, after that, you could switch to a Raheem Sterling or a Maddison in game week 3. So I feel like Martinelli is a really nice player to start the season. And I do want to squeeze him in. Just before I started recording this video, I did look at a draft where essentially I just switched Trent to Martinelli and I was in a 3-5-2. And then, of course, I do have to drop Gabriel because I'm currently already on a triple Arsenal. So I've had a look at that. I just don't quite like the defence as much. And I do think that Trent could easily match Martinelli. And I also like the idea of covering the Arsenal defence. So at the moment, I can't quite squeeze in the 3 players that I would really want. Maddison, Foden, Martinelli. I do also like the look of Mbeumo too. There's just so many good midfielders to choose from. Let's move on to the 2 forwards and discuss the team in its entirety. So just finishing off with the 2 forwards, and we do still have Erling Haaland and Gabriel Jesus. I'm not going to discuss these 2 because I have discussed them throughout the week. If you want to go back and watch all of the videos, we are uploading daily at the moment, by the way. So if you're still watching this and you've not yet subscribed, I don't usually ask in the middle of a video, but please do subscribe. We're trying to hit 80,000 subscribers before Game Week 1. And like I said, daily uploads to the Game Week 1 deadline, so there will be tons of content. I love these 2 as options. Both got great data. Jesus is a terrible finisher. I think we've seen that across 4 of the last 6 seasons. He's underperformed his XG by quite a significant amount. So he's not a good finisher, but he will accumulate so many chances, and he's at a really nice price point. I don't mind starting the season with Gabriel Jesus. The players that I would quite like that aren't in my current forward line are Calvert-Lewin, and I know everyone hates that, but he's got good data when he plays. When he's fit, he's absolutely nailed in that Everton side, and he's on penalties too. And I feel like he will suit Dyche Ball as well. I feel like he will do very well for Everton if he can stay fit. And the fixtures at the start of the season are absolutely brilliant. So I like the look of Calvert-Lewin. And then the other player is Nkunku. I do think you can wait and see with Nkunku. It's very easy to just start the season with Gabriel Jesus. And if Nkunku does look good, again, in game week 3 or 4, just do Jesus to Nkunku. It's more difficult to do it the other way because Jesus is more expensive. And then if he starts rising in price, you're going to find it difficult to go from Nkunku to Jesus. The other reason I like Nkunku, other than him just being a very decent player, is I do think he'll be on penalties for Chelsea. And you guys know how I feel about penalty takers. It really does add a string to their bow, and it gives you another route to points. So those are the 2 players that I think are missing from the forward line. But that is the 4-4-2 draft that I'm currently sitting on. I probably won't change this for a few days now. We'll go back next week or maybe the week after that, and I'll give you another updated draft, but I like this. Triple Manchester United, which might be overkill given the fixtures of Shaw, Rashford, Fernandes, but you, of course, have the opportunity in Game Week 3 to go from one of Fernandes and Rashford to the likes of Sterling, Son, or Maddison, and I like that option there for the fixture swing. You've got triple Arsenal, which I think is definitely worth doing at the price points of Gabriel, Saka, Jesus. Double Brighton to start with the really nice fixtures, and then you've got Haaland and Trent. It's such a nice team. You've even got a very, very decent first sub. I wouldn't be surprised by going to game week 1 with something like this. In the final section, what we're going to do is I'm just going to show you on the Fantasy Football Hub website, if I tinker with a few players, what does that do to my team rating? Does it affect my team rating? Does it make it go up? How can I make the team slightly better? And what might I potentially be changing over the coming weeks? So just to end the video, I thought we could have a live tinker together, change a few things around and see how that affects our game week and team rating. Just a massive shout out, like I said, to Fantasy Football Hub. This is their new My Team feature. You can click the link in the description and get your team rated absolutely free. So you can get a game week team rating and predicted points. Of course, if you want to sign up and get further benefits, you can. There is currently 50% off if you use my link in the description. That means for as little as £2 per month, you can get access to this. And for £3 per month, you can get access to pretty much everything on the site. So do check it out. At the moment, like I said, I'm in a 97% game week rating. The other reason that I like this new feature is you can go through, obviously, all of the different game weeks as well. So game week 2, game week 3. If you scroll down, there's a thing that says optimize your team. You can click that and it will sort out your bench order and your captaincy based on their projected points. Also, there are some other things, as you can see, sort of towards the top left. You've got AI transfers, AI team, and you've also got some mini league things now that are added as well. So this is the one stop, all you need in FPL you can get from this specific place. Like I said, do check it out. But what I wanted to show you is kind of what it does to my team if I change some of the things that I spoke about. So the first thing that I am quite keen to try, and I am definitely thinking about, is going triple Arsenal attack and actually switching Gabriel for Gabriel Martinelli. So we'll have a little go at what that would look like. So the first thing I need to do is I need to remove Gabriel. Now, this is one of the reasons that I'm less keen on going for Martinelli and removing the Arsenal defender, is there are some defenders I really like, but there are no standout options for me that are a similar enough level to Gabriel. There are worries with all of them. I like the look of James and Chilwell, but at the moment, it looks like James could potentially be injured. Chilwell is a worry in a similar vein as well. And I just don't know exactly how Chelsea will line up and how much might potentially Reece James' injury, if he is injured, affect them. And I kind of want to wait and see with them. The other player that I like, and I'll probably put in just for now, is Pedro Porro. The issue with Porro is we don't know what he'll look like in a back four. He played very, very well for Tottenham last season. His stats were great in a back five when he was playing as basically a right mid. What it will look like in a back four, we really don't know. But let's say we go for someone like a Pedro Porro. The other thing we then need to do is remove Alexander-Arnold or Trent, and we can just put in anyone at this stage. Let's just say Bell. I know he's quite a popular £4 million defender. Then we switch Bell for Ndombele, and we can bring in, I believe now the funds will work for that. Yeah, we've got 0.5 in the bank, actually. So we can bring in Martinelli for Trent. And all of a sudden, we've got a very strong team. Again, Henry actually rotates really nice with Pedro Porro. So in game week 2, for example, Pedro Porro plays against Manchester United. Henry can come in because he's got a decent fixture against Fulham. So you can actually rotate those two quite well again. As you can see, that only drops my game week rating to 96 and it drops my team rating down to 95. But generally, I'm still happy with the team. It's just that spot there where I've got Pedro Porro. I don't really know who I would want in that spot if I were to go for that triple Arsenal attack of Martinelli, Saka, and Gabriel Jesus. But I do like the idea of that triple up on the Arsenal attack. It looks so nice. If I were to do that, when you can see, when we move over to game week 2, I just need to get Martinelli in now. So all you do is just scroll to the bottom, click Optimize Team. It's actually really, really quick on the new feature, and it will set the team up for you. This actually brings Bell into the starting 11, assuming he starts because he's got Burnley at home. And of course, we've got the triple Arsenal attack against Crystal Palace. The game week rating is 94%. If we switch forward to game week 3 and optimize the team once again, you will see the game week rating is now up at 99%. Which is really, really good. So this is a team, if you just scroll through, you can see my game week rating doesn't drop below 90% for ages until game week 7. I wonder if I optimize the team, whether it will go, again, back up to 91%. So this is a team that is well set up until you probably want to play that first wild card, and I really like it. I guess the things that I'm debating now at the moment is, do I want triple Arsenal attack? Do I want to keep an Arsenal defender? Do I want a 4-4-2? Do I want a 3-5-2? I think I will probably end up starting the season with Gabriel Jesus and Haaland. I can't see myself changing that at the moment. And I think the likes of Estepinian, Luke Shaw, and then a 4.5 goalkeeper probably stay the same. Saka, at least one Manchester United midfielder, and Matoma probably stay the same. You can see that most of my drafts tend to have this kind of core theme to them. About 7 or 8 players aren't really changing. It's just a few different spots, and it's mainly around that third Arsenal asset and which formation I end up in. But I'm really, really happy with it. All of the drafts that I've built have been above 93% on the Fantasy Football Hub AI rating. If you do check out Fantasy Football Hub, like I said, let me know in the description. Let me know in the comments. What did you get for your team rating? So not the game week rating, because this is actually what for each specific game week, but your overall team rating, which weights it across the first 5 or 6 game weeks, what is your rating? Has anyone got above 96, 97%? If so, let me know what your rating is. I did manage to get 100% with a draft, but I'm not going to tell you what the draft was because that would be cheating. You can experiment for yourself, but I am really happy with the team. Let me know down below in the comments, do you prefer the triple Arsenal attack, or do you prefer having Gabriel in defense and maybe just going for a solid 4-4-2? So guys, there you have it. That is my current updated draft ahead of game week 1. Of course, I will change this quite a lot. But like I said, you can start to see that 6, 7, maybe even 8 players really aren't changing too much between the drafts now. We are really starting to hone down on the sort of draft that we want to enter game week 1 with. It's just a few subtle changes here and there, which might alter the formation and some of the personnel slightly. That being said, we do still have all of the preseason games yet to come, and I'm sure that will definitely influence our thinking. If you have enjoyed today's video and you're enjoying the daily content on this channel and you're not yet subscribed, please do hit that subscribe button. It's completely free for you to do, but it really helps to support the channel, and we are aiming for 80,000 subscribers before game week 1. Until next time, thank you very much for watching. Cheers. Bye-bye.